New Orleans signed C.J. Spiller for something other than sitting on the fucking bench.
31 other passes that should have been intercepted.
So that's why I have David Johnson on my board higher.
If you're doing a live draft, wait till you're drunk to draft this guy. We welcome you to the Fifth Down. What up, Fifth Downers? This is Johnny Slokes, and you're here at the Fifth Down Football Podcast. I got my partner in crime, K-Mill.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Yeah, we're going to try to give you a little bit of an extra down advantage today. We're going to do our Week 2 ranking show.
Sure.
All right. Before we get started, I mean, there's a little bit of news and notes. No practice for Arian Foster today, having a tight hammy. It looks like it's just maintenance day for the veteran. Nothing to be too worried about.
Any injury news with Arian Foster is bad news.
Have you heard anything about DT's hip injury? It looked like he was limited today.
He was definitely limited. At last I heard, doctors were getting a second opinion on it, well, he had a first opinion. They didn't see anything crazy, but he was getting a second opinion, and he was limited in practice today as well. So it sounds like he will play on Sunday, but I would be worried if you're a DT owner, he might be on a snap count or something like that, because obviously it's only Week 2. They want to keep him healthy for the rest of the season. So if you have somebody else you can plug in. That's
unfortunate, too, because he's a lovely matchup.
Oh, yeah, against that Indianapolis defense. I love that so much. We'll get into that later, though.
All right. Looks like Thomas Rolls is going to be the starter for Week 2. I don't really know how much that actually means. I do see Michael getting in there for some work.
Yeah, I think this is going to still be more of a running back by committee for this Week 2. And honestly, Michael outplayed Rawls last week, Week 1. I really don't know why they went to Rawls. Yeah, it wasn't even close. So I really do think that this backfield is very much up for grabs. So if you are a Rawls owner, I would encourage you to, grab Michael. Price dependent, of course. And if not, I would definitely watch for some developments to see if Rawls loses the job. Because I really think this is going to be a committee, and I think it's very much up for grabs still.
And here's a statement that could probably be said on most weeks. No practice for Breshad Perriman. It's something minor. It's a minor calf injury, something that shouldn't really limit him too much, but I don't really think that matters too much. I think he looks like he's like the third or fourth receiver on the depth chart at this point. But, I just thought it was kind of funny to bring him up. He's out of practice again. What else is new?
Out of practice again. Wow, what else is new? Yeah, the sky is blue. That Ravens receiver core is just the most confusing thing ever. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, some news out of the Kansas City backfield. Spencer Ware, it was no show for practice due to a toe injury. Andy Reid, however, did say that he will be playing on Sunday. And Jamal Charles still practicing with the scout team.
Yeah, he had a fine Week 1, that is for sure. But we'll have to wait and see what the Chiefs do with this. If you do own Ware and he's like one of your only couple backs, you might want to be worried because it's only a matter of time until Jamal Charles gets plugged in there, or vice versa. If you're a Jamal Charles owner, that Chiefs backfield, a mess for fantasy owners. But in real life, it is a very good backfield. It's very deep.
I feel like there's a good chance that Spencer Ware could run away with that job, to be honest. Like if he keeps playing the way he played last week, I know he has a much tougher matchup, but I think there's a good chance that he could potentially run Charles out of a job, to be honest.
I definitely agree.
At the very least, they're going to want to keep Charles limited throughout the season. They want to try to keep him healthy,
Definitely. They're not going to rush him back, especially when they have a fine replacement like Spencer Ware. He was actually one of my my sleeper candidates before the draft even started, and saying, hey, he could potentially run away with this job. So you're absolutely right on the money, Johnny. But another thing to be wary of too is that Chiefs fans love Jamal Charles, and I think when he is healthy, he will start unless Spencer Ware absolutely just continues on a tear. Then obviously Andy Reid's going to go with the hot hand.
And if you look at the long-term aspect, would you want to pay a shit ton of money for a running back that's over 30 years old when you can have Spencer Ware, who's 24 years old, that can do it just as good?
Oh yeah, well, no question. I mean, if he continues,
I'm saying if you're in a dynasty league, I think you got yourself a gem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more.
I mean, think about those like early 2000 years. It seemed like when a running back went down, Kansas City just plugged in a new running back, and then here comes Larry Johnson. You know.
Yeah, Priest, Holmes, all of them. Kansas City just has a good track record of keeping a strong offensive line, and like a lot of running backs that go through that system are very successful. So, why would that trend stop now? And you bring up a great point. When they can, easily just cut Jamal Charles and save some pennies by, making Spencer Ware that lead back, then it's a no-brainer at that point.
Yeah, obviously that's not something I think they would do like this year or mid-season or anything like that. But I'm thinking like long-term, that could very well be something that happens. Gronk, it looks like he was limited at practice today. Are you worried about his availability for week 2?
Oh, I didn't hear the name.
Gronk.
Oh, Gronkowski. Yeah, I mean, he was a guy that I was high on. During the summer, I was like, man, if you have a late-round first-round pick, Gronk's kind of an obvious choice. You get your overall tight end 1 right there at the end of the first round. But it's very worrisome. I started getting low on him towards the start of draft because I was like, I don't like that he's already having hammy issues. There's this draft's very deep. I can get a lot of other players. But yeah, if you're a Gronk owner, why wouldn't you be worried? You most likely spent a first-round pick on him. And
Chris Ivory was released from the hospital yesterday. He did not practice today, however. I think that if he's to not be able to go for week 2, I could very well see Yeldon being a top 12 play.
Yes, I do agree with that.
All right, so I got a couple of questions I want to ask you before we get started.
Okay, let's do it.
If you're a Mark Ingram owner, are you looking to move him? Are you worried at all about him?
For me, the volume is a little bit concerning from a week 1 standpoint, but you have to remember when the Saints turn to shootout, that's going to happen. A lot of games, though, you got to love that backfield passing down usage that Mark Ingram gets. So I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily worried at this point. It's week 1. It's way too early to be waving red flags. But, yeah, it is trending in a concerning direction. But if I own Mark Ingram, I still think that you have a solid running back 1 candidate. So I really wouldn't. Right now is not the time to press the panic button is what I'm saying.
I feel like we're kind of on the same page as far as saying that, I think it's a little bit too early to pull the trigger, especially since it is just week 1 and he had a game where he didn't get a whole lot of volume. Right now, if you're to trade him right now, I feel like you're selling low on him. Wait for him to have a couple of good games first, then you can consider maybe moving him.
I was just going to mention that, yes. Definitely sell him high. Wait till he blows up 1 week. It's going to come 1 week or another. He's just going to absolutely blow up. Sell him during his blow-up week and let that be that if you're really that concerned about him. Honestly, if I'm an Ingram owner, I love Ingram. I think I'm holding on to him all season unless, it trends in the wrong direction. But, yeah, sell him high, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really too worried about him. I will say it's a bit concerning that he got outsnapped by Cadet in passing downs because, I mean, that's what made him so great before is when he was getting all those catches. So you got to worry about that a little bit. But I'm really not too concerned about him as my starting running back.
Yeah, neither am I.
And the other question I got for you is, who would you start in a PPR setting, Woodhead or Spencer Ware?
That's very, very, very tough. I think right now my money is on Woodhead because of the loss of Keenan Allen. He's going to see a huge increase in volume. And they're going up against Jacksonville, who did a lot in the offseason to improve that front 7. But I still think that this isn't a defense that's really scaring a lot of people. I think that Woodhead's my choice in a PPR setting.
Very logical. I see your point. But I think I'd have to lean a little bit towards Spencer Ware on this one, especially if Charles is a no-go. Just on the simple fact that I think that Spencer Ware will get more carries than Danny Woodhead, and he can also catch out of the backfield. Yeah,
but they're also going against a fierce Houston defense this week, so that's That's the real main reason why I like Woodhead just a little bit more. I'm not saying that Spencer Ware's a bad play by any means, but I do like Woodhead more.
The way I kind of would try to actually get both of them in the lineup. I love them both this week, to be honest. I'm saying if you had to pick one, then I'd probably lean a little bit towards Ware.
Yeah, well, I'll say the opposite then. Inside the debate, I say Woodhead.
All right. So you want to jump into our quarterback rankings?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Before I rattle off my rankings, I want to say that I got 2 starts of the week for quarterback. Eli Manning going against New Orleans at home, and I got Matthew Stafford at home against Tennessee. Those are my starts of the week.
I like that. I like that a lot. Mine are very similar.
I know Brock didn't have a great week last week, and he was our pick as the stream of the week. He didn't have a great week, but he probably didn't hurt you if you started him. Obviously, Griffin had a miserable game. Who are some quarterbacks that you're looking to stream this week?
I think one of my top candidates to stream, and I will admit to you, it's very early to say this, but a guy that is a popular waiver wire pick this week, Carson Wentz, is going up against a weak Chicago defense. I like this. I believe they're playing on Monday night, but yeah, I love that matchup. If he can continue what he did against a very weak Cleveland defense, I think that he's going to continue that against Chicago.
I have 2 streams of the week, and yes, Carson Wentz was one of them. He plays a very weak Chicago defense. I think that he'll have a fairly similar game to what you had in Cleveland. And my other stream of the week is Joe Flacco, who plays the team that Carson Wentz just played against, Cleveland Browns. I think that Joe Flacco will have a great game.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Yeah, I think that now it's the general rule in fantasy at this point to just stream all your players against Cleveland. Like, that's a great matchup. You got to love that no matter what. However, I do want to ask you one thing, Johnny, not getting too far off topic here, but do you think that the Rams made a horrible choice because it certainly looks that way right now, by taking Jared Goff instead of Carson Wentz? Because right now it looks not even close.
Well, I feel like LA made 2 really terrible decisions. I do think that it wasn't a very good decision to draft Jared Goff where they drafted him. I don't really feel like he fit the system very well. But on that same token, I still feel like they also made a terrible mistake by not starting him right away. I mean, is Case Keenum really that much better than Jared Goff? Probably not. Hell, I don't know. But
here's my thing. It more like speaks to the fact of you couldn't beat out that guy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It must be horrible then.
Yeah, that speaks volumes.
All right. Well, let's get back on topic then. Yeah. So.
All right.
I will tell you, though, my starts of the week, I have 2 of them. Obviously, Eli Manning. I think that this is just a mouth-watering match. If you have Eli Manning on your team, do not hesitate to start him against a very, very, very weak New Orleans defense. And Cam Newton, he's going up against San Francisco's defense. I don't think they're all that impressive. They looked impressive on Monday night because they were going up against a weak Rams offense. I don't really think they're that intimidating. I like Cam Newton in this matchup.
Interesting that you brought up Cam Newton as your start of the week because I have Cam Newton at number 1 and I got Eli Manning at number 2.
Wow. Well, I actually mine are flip-flopped. Eli Manning is my number 1 for the week, and Cam Newton is my number 2.
Yeah, I could definitely get on board with that. I do like Newton's rushing upside, obviously, but I think they're both going to have a really good game. They got some pretty juicy matchups. Who do you have at number 3?
Number 3 is pretty obvious. Another guy in that New Orleans game, Drew Brees, obviously. I think that game, that's going to be the most watched game on Sunday. I can't wait to watch that game. It's going to be a fun offensive game.
Yeah, I think that's – hopefully they can repeat what they did last year because that'd be amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, what was it, 6 or 7 touchdowns each?
Yep. I hope that's what I'm banking on. Well, I really don't think that'll happen again, but I definitely think it's going to be a shootout.
Yes.
My number 3 is Russell Wilson.
Okay.
He's on the road against LA. I think that's a good chance for him to have a nice rebound game.
Yeah, that's a mouth-watering matchup, no matter how you slice it.
I mean, I know they really didn't look too good at defending the run last week against San Fran. I'm not really impressed by their defense.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. My number 4 for the week is Matthew Stafford. You already pretty much hit why Tennessee defense isn't scaring anybody, and I think Matthew Stafford has shown that even with his new receivers, his new toys, he's got the tools to do it. So that's all he said for that one.
Yeah, my number 4 was the aforementioned Drew Brees. I got Stafford at number 5. And number 6, I have Derek Carr going against Atlanta at home.
Yeah, I have him one spot above you. I have him at number 5, but go ahead.
I think that Atlanta proved that they have a pretty shitty secondary. I mean, they let Tampa Bay shut him through the air, and I think that he's a better quarterback than Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston's a good quarterback in his own right, but I just feel like he's not in the same tier. He's in a tier higher than Jameis Winston.
Bold statement. I'd like to put them both in the same tier, but I do think that if Jameis can do it, so can Derek Carr. So I think I'm a little higher on Jameis, but yeah, I think that they're in the same tier, and Derek Carr will replicate Jameis' performance, maybe even better. At number 6, I have Carson Palmer. He's going to go against Tampa Bay. Really not a really impressive group in the secondary. They do have a nice front 7. But I still think that David Johnson's matchup proof no matter what. But staying on the quarterback trend, I think that Carson Palmer gets it done in the air.
At number 6, I have Aaron Rodgers. He's going on the road against Minnesota. I know Minnesota does tend to play Green Bay a little bit tougher, so I think I knocked him down a few notches, but I think he'll still have a fine game. It'll be interesting to see the snap count on Jordy Nelson this week.
Yes, I have Aaron Rodgers in the same position. Or no, wait, no, a spot lower, never mind. My next start is actually, well, maybe not so surprising, but Blake Bortles up against San Diego. He's my number 8. Got to love that matchup. That San Diego defense is weak.
Yeah, and you got to figure that's probably going to be a shootout. I got an interesting stat though about Blake Bortles and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguars are 0-8 when Blake Bortles goes for more than 300 yards.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds about on trend with the whole garbage time stats that we heard last year. His completion percentages are pretty much garbage. But, I mean, for fantasy owners, who really cares as long as he's throwing for that many yards? Nobody cares if he wins or loses the game.
I kind of feel like that's a game that Jacksonville could lose against San Diego. I know they just lost Keenan Allen, but, I mean, he's playing all the way on the West Coast from the East Coast. Sometimes those are kind of trap games for teams.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening, too. I think that's definitely a toss-up game. I don't even want to venture a pick on that game because I have no idea. That game seems very fluky.
All right, I had Palmer at 8 and Bortles at 9. Number 10, I have Big Ben, and he is my candidate for the Blue Falcon of the week. I think that there's a good chance that Big Ben could fuck you. He's playing Cincinnati. He tends to play kind of poorly against Cincinnati. That's kind of why I have him down at number 10.
Yeah, I actually agree. He's my co-winner of the Blue Falcon of the Week award this week. I agree. Same reason. I don't really need to touch up on it as much as you did. Cincinnati, it's always a good game when these two teams play each other, and the Cincinnati team has very good defense. I don't think that he'll have a horrible game by any means, but I definitely don't think that he will have a good game either. So I think that he will be a very middling production, and the fact that he's the last quarterback one.
Yeah, I know that it was last year, but I still can't get over that Week 16 performance he had against them. Like, he had a pretty shitty game that week. And I think that kind of still stuck in my brain when I was making those rankings.
Yeah, well, and my other one, I'll go into him too. He just barely made my rankings, or actually, he's just outside of him. But I do want to bring him up because of his matchup. Marcus Mariota, he's going up against Detroit, which yes, we all know that Indianapolis put up a point against Detroit, but I do think this is a better than advertised Lions defense, and I think that they're going to eat Mariota alive.
I don't think I'm as low on Mariota as you are, but I do see him struggling a little bit in that game. I could definitely see him getting a turnover or two. I don't think that he's going to necessarily have like a week-killing week for you. I mean, he honestly shouldn't be in your starter to begin with, but if you are starting him, I don't think he's going to absolutely kill you.
Absolutely. I just thought I'd bring it up because I do think that a lot of people are sleeping on this Lions defense, which I will mention this later when we talk about defenses, but the huge sleeper this week on defense. I think that it's a great matchup.
I can see that. They're playing at home, so that's always a plus two. Who do you have at number 10?
Number 10, Joe Flacco, for no other reason than he's playing the Browns defense. Nothing else needs to be
Wow,
said.
you are really high on him. I mean, I have him definitely as a streamer option, but you're really high on him.
I just love that matchup. It's mouthwatering, and with guys like, Mike Wallace, who came back from the dead, and now he's a deep threat. I think that's a pretty juicy matchup if you're a Joe Flacco owner.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of that name kind of caught me off guard, but I mean, I hope that one plays out for you. I mean, I like him too. I just don't have him at number 10. I think I have him at like 15 or 16.
Oh, okay, you're way lower on him.
If we're gonna finish out our QB1s, I think the other two QB1s I have on my list, I got Rivers. He's playing Jacksonville. I got him at number 11, and I didn't really like to put Luck at number 12, but I have Luck at number 12. He is going on the road against Denver. It's not a ideal matchup. But no. I do think the reason why I have him at number 12, though, is I do think that they're going to maybe fall behind, and he could actually put up some decent yardage. I do see him throwing a couple of interceptions, though.
All right, you ready for my last two to kind of catch you off guard here? All right, I have Jameis Winston at number 11. I do believe that he can get something done against the Arizona defense. If Grabaho can do it, I think Jameis can too. And I like Mike Evans getting at least a touchdown in this game. I think that it won't be a barn burner game by any means, but I do like him this week. I think that he does get it done against Arizona. I do think Arizona obviously wins the game, though. So
I can't believe you're that high on Winston this week. I actually have him as my other Blue Falcon this week. I have him all the way down at number 21. I don't think he's going to have a very good game. I think Evans is going to have a tough matchup with Patrick Peterson. He's a bigger corner that can get after him at the line, maybe. I'm not thrilled with the matchup.
I think Evans. I'm not thrilled with the matchup either. I think that Mike Evans is going to get the Patrick Peterson treatment, but I think that Jameis gets it done. Anyways, moving right along, I do like Philip Rivers of Jacksonville. He is my number 12. Finish off the quarterback once for the week.
All right. So is there any quarterbacks that are not in your top 12 that you still kind of like to start this week? I could see a couple of them that I have down here.
Yeah, here's one that just missed. Matt Ryan. I like him at Oakland. This is a team that got burnt by the Saints last week they got absolutely torched. And I think that a team like Atlanta is built the exact same way. They got a guy like Julio Jones who, for any corner, is really just a matchup nightmare. So I think that Matt Ryan does get the job done too. He finished just outside of my quarterback one rankings. But if you do own Matt Ryan, I would consider starting him this week.
Yeah, a couple of guys that just missed quarterback one level. I had Kirk Cousins, number 13, at home against Dallas. I had Matt Ryan at number 14 on the road against Oakland. And then I have Jay Cutler at number 15 at home against Philadelphia. Then, yes, I have Joe Flacco at number 16.
Well, all right.
All right, so let's jump over to the running backs. We got who do you got at number 1 this week for your running back?
I think this shouldn't come as a surprise to a lot of people, but David Johnson's my number 1 this week. He's going up against Tampa Bay. I know that this is a tough matchup. They have a nice front seven, but David Johnson, in my eyes, is pretty much matchup proof, or as close to matchup proof as you can get. So do not hesitate to employ him this week.
Yep, second week in a row that I also have David Johnson at number 1. I mean, yeah, I know they got a decent line, but I really think that he's going to be involved in the passing game as well. He has a pretty safe floor.
Absolutely.
I might surprise you with my number 2, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
My number 2 is C.J. Anderson.
Nope, that doesn't surprise me at all because he's my number 2.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise he gets to play the shitty Colts defense that just gave up 3 touchdowns to the running back last week against the Detroit Lions. Detroit had a pretty good game on the ground.
Yeah, definitely agree. I think that C.J. Anderson, for just the simple reason that he's facing Indianapolis, we saw what he did against a tough Carolina defense. I don't expect him to completely replicate 2 touchdowns, but I do expect him to have a very, very, very fine week.
It wouldn't surprise me if he did get another couple touchdowns.
Oh, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. I'm just saying, he did that against a very stout Carolina defense, so why can't he do it against any team, let alone a very weak Colts defense?
Yeah, I feel you on that one. My number 3 is DeAngelo Williams. He gets to play Cincinnati at home. Obviously, we've seen what he could do last week. He still has it. I'm back on board.
All right. Well, my number 3, I switched up a little bit, but it really shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. Lamar Miller. He's going up against a very fine Kansas City defense, but once again, I think Lamar Miller is pretty close to matchup-proof.
Kansas City gave up 3 touchdowns to the running back.
Yeah, no, definitely. I see some serious upside with Lamar Miller in this game.
Yeah, I got Lamar Miller at number 4. I don't know. You're not too far off board right there. Who do you got in your at number 5?
Oh, well, I didn't actually go over my number 4 yet, but I'll go over that right now.
Oh, no, go ahead. You can do 4 and 5 then.
Okay. Yeah, my number 4 is DeAngelo Williams for reasons that you said. I'm back on board as well. While Le'Veon Bell suspended, I really think that you should not hesitate to put him in your lineup. And my number 5, I'm very low on this guy, but he does have a good matchup, Ezekiel Elliott. I do like him this week against Washington.
Washington. Yeah, my number 5 is Spencer Ware. I know he has a tough matchup, but I think he's going to get done again on the ground and the air.
Well, that actually doesn't surprise me that you say that because I have him at number 6.
Yeah, my number 6, I didn't really feel real great about putting this guy at number 6. I think he's there more for a name than anything else. Is AP? I don't know. It doesn't look like he's going to be very effective with Sean Hill at the helm. I mean, if you look at the previous games that he was with Sean Hill at the helm, he's averaging something like 40 yards a game. It's not pretty.
Yeah, it's not. Same here. I have him at number 7, so just a spot lower than you. But yeah, it's pretty much name value alone that's keeping him there. Honestly, he's one of my Blue Falcon candidates this year. I really think that this might be the year we see some regression from AP. But you do bring up a great point.
I have him ranked at number 6. I have him ranked at number 6, and I also have him as the Blue Falcon of the week. That's how I felt. That's how I felt about putting him there.
Well, we can agree on that then.
So my number 7, I have Latavius Murray. I think he gets another good matchup against Atlanta. Although I think the run defense is a little bit better than what people think it is. But I think I see him getting another touchdown.
Yeah, I could definitely see that happening too. That's why he's ranked number 8 for me. Obviously a top 10 back this week. I love that matchup.
Yeah, my number 8 is Mark Ingram. I'm hoping that he can have a bounce back week. He plays the Giants defense, which I know they did a pretty good job in Elliott, not so good of a job on Morris. I do look for Ingram to bounce back this week.
I agree, and that's why I have him as my number 9 this week.
You always seem to have your players just a spot lower than me.
Yeah, I think we're just a hair off.
Well, I think the reason being is that we're just a hair off is because I have Ezekiel Elliott at number 9. I'm not as high. I know he plays Washington today. Washington actually has a pretty good front, and he did not look too good last week.
He didn't impress me, but I'm going to give him a second chance, and then if I don't see anything this weekend, I think that I'm going to definitely bring him down in my rankings. But I'm still fairly high on him. He has still oozing with potential.
Who do you have at number 10?
Number 10 is Mark Ingram. I at first I talked early there, but then I was like, you know what, that Los Angeles offense looks absolutely horrid. I don't even know. If I'm a Todd Gurley owner, I'm scared because this offense is so damn ineffective. So,
and they get to play Seattle on the road. Oof.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I hate that. Yeah, it honestly nearly knocks him out of my running back one conversation this week, and it's really unbelievable to believe if you're, like, because it's Todd Gurley we're talking about.
Well, Todd Gurley's my other Blue Falcon of the week at running back this week for obvious reasons, and I don't have him ranked in the top 12. I have him at number 13, and I think I'm having him at number 13 based on volume alone.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I have him just that cunt hair above you at number 12, but and that's strictly, I think, on name value alone that he even sneaks in there.
Yeah, I got a surprise at number 10. I don't know where you stand on it, but I got Matt Forte at number 10.
Actually, that's not very surprising to me because I have Matt Forte at number 11.
Can you say that again? I was making noise.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that doesn't really surprise me either because I actually had Matt Forte at number 11. I think that's pretty obvious why, he's in your running back one conversation. He got the volume in New York, and after a lot of preseason, hype on Bilal Powell, I think that he kind of laid that to rest, and, if there's a healthy Matt Forte, that's his backfield.
I think Matt Forte looked really good. He didn't look worn down. He was playing a 3-down role. Bilal Powell only had 6 touches. With that being said, I think that Matt Forte could be a guy that you could look to trade down the line, say like week 7 or 8, because maybe he might not look so fresh towards the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. He's getting up there in age, and you know what? The other thing too is that the injury concern has to scare you. So if you want to let his value build over the next couple weeks, trade him real high. I think it's only a matter of time this season until Bilal Powell takes the reins, so he's not a bad bench stash on your team by any means.
I think that's what I'm going to do with Forte in my my dynasty league. I think I'm going to end up looking to trade him for something a little bit down the line.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do with Bell too.
All right. So to round out my RB1s this week, I have Eddie Lacy at number 11, and I have Ryan Matthews at number 12, one of my starts of the week.
I'm sad to say that my McDonald's spokesperson, Eddie Lacy, is not in my top 12 rankings. Sorry, Green Bay.
Who do you have at 11 and 12?
12, like I said, was Todd Gurley, and 11 was Matt Forte.
All right. Yeah, I got Eddie Lacy in there. I think that he's gonna be due for his soon.
Yeah, I think that he did look a little more spry. He was carrying some tackles with him last week, but I'm in a prove it scenario with him as of right now.
Yeah, thinking back on it, I think I probably could have put Ryan Matthews above him because I really like Ryan Matthews' matchup against Chicago this week. I think that he had 22 carries in week 1. He didn't really look very effective with those carries. He only had like 70-something yards, but you got to like the workload he's getting, Yeah,
absolutely. From a workload standpoint, yeah, you should play Ryan Matthews just strictly off of that alone.
Honestly, I think he's a must-start this week.
Yeah, another guy that you didn't mention is Carlos Hyde. I think that he has a tough matchup against Carolina, but again, I think that the volume will definitely be there.
Yeah, I do have Hyde on here. He's just we'll talk about him later.
Yeah.
It's not that far. It's much further down, but I don't have him that high.
I don't have him ranked because I literally just did running back ones, but I did want to mention him because I think from a volume alone standpoint, you definitely want to employ him this week.
Yeah, I got Sean McCoy at number 14. He does have a tough matchup, but you got to figure he's going to be a 3-down back. I have Danny Woodhead at number 15. I think he's pretty much a guy you could plug in as your RB2 for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree. With the loss of Keenan Allen, that's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, definitely. If you have Danny Woodhead on your team or you can get him for real cheap in your league, definitely do it.
Yeah, I mean, I will go as far to say, though, I don't think he's going to get all the carries that he got last week. I do think that he's going to transition more into just like a guy that's going to receive the ball a lot, and they're going to try to lighten his load a little bit because, he's more effective as out of the backfield catching the ball than running it, although he looked pretty good running it last week, too. I think that Melvin Gordon might see an uptick in rushes because of Keenan Allen's injury as well.
Yeah, I do also think that too. Just touching on Melvin Gordon very quickly, he's one of my breakout candidates this year. I wasn't very high on him when he had off-season surgery, but now I'm starting to really buy into the hype. I really think that Melvin Gordon could be the guy the San Diego Chargers drafted him to be.
Yeah, I mean, the way you got to look at it, there's only one way to go, and that's up. You can't really do much worse than you did last year.
Yeah, well, and I think I brought it up today, talking to a friend today. Somebody was like, oh, yeah, well, he made a lot of rookie mistakes. And I was like, no, his rookie season was a rookie mistake. His whole season.
That's a good one. All right, a couple other guys I have on this list that actually have some good matchups is I have Jonathan Stewart, number 17, at home against San Francisco. I have Devontae Freeman at number 18 at home on the road against Oakland, and I got Jennings at number 20. He's at home against New Orleans.
Yeah, it's easy to see why Jennings sneaks in there. Gotta love that matchup.
Oh, I totally skipped over Yeldon. If Ivory doesn't start, I have Yeldon at number 17. If Ivory does play, I think I got Ivory a little bit lower, but not anything too crazy, like number 22.
I can see it.
I mean, either way, I kind of like Yeldon this week over Ivory, anyways. I mean, I don't even know if that motherfucker's gonna play.
Yeah,
he's an Ivory in the rough.
An Ivory in the rough. I like that.
All right, you want to talk over some receivers?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready to go.
All right, so my number one receiver, start of the week, is Odell Beckham. I mean, it goes without saying he's playing the shitty Saints. I mean, what else do I have to say? Beckham's playing the Saints.
Yeah, this doesn't really warrant a response from me. You should pretty much already know who my number one is this week. It's obviously Odell Beckham. He has the most mouth-watering matchup out of any receiver. From a talent standpoint, I mean, nothing else needs to be said. OBJ, start, no matter what.
No shit, yeah. Do you have Brown at number 2?
I do, and this was actually I really debated on this one because Antonio Brown actually has the worst matchup out of him and Julio Jones, but it's Antonio Brown, so yes, he's number 2.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love what the fuck you've seen just a couple of days ago. But with that being said, I think I still put him at number 3. I do have Julio over Brown just for this week. I mean,
Antonio Brown, when he gets a long TD pass, it just gives me a boner every time. I wish he was on one of my fantasy teams.
I was trying to be consistent with the rest of my rankings. If I think Big Ben's going to have a down week, I got to expect Antonio Brown to have a down week. That's why I have him at number 3 instead of number 2.
Well, and I don't find that surprising because I nearly put Julio Jones ahead of him because he does have a better matchup. But it is Antonio Brown, and to me, I just, that his name value just carries so much.
No, isn't it funny when you're saying that Antonio Brown could have a down week and you still rank him at number 3?
Oh, I know, yeah. We're both in agreement he'll have a down week, but we still have the top 3.
All right, my number 4 is A.J. Green. He is going to be playing Pittsburgh. I'm still not sold on Pittsburgh's secondary. I know they held Washington down, but I like A.J. Green this week.
Yeah, I do too. I have him exactly the same spot as you do, number 4.
All right, who do you got at number 5?
I have Mr. A-Rob.
AR-15.
AR-15. You can't argue with the matchup against San Diego. They don't have a very scary or intimidating group of corners / secondary. So, yeah, nothing else needs to be said.
Yeah, I have him at number 5 as well. I'm looking for him to have a bounce-back week. He seemed like he was really quiet for most of that game last week, so I'm looking for him to have a bounce-back game.
Except for, you guessed it, garbage time.
Yeah, well, Blake missed him on a couple of throws, especially one that was in the end zone. He tried to make a diving catch but couldn't come up with it. It was like, it was right on his fingertips.
Yeah,
he was really that close away from having that.
He did, yeah, and that would have salvaged his fantasy week for sure. But, yeah, employ him this week with no doubts.
Yeah. My number 6 might be a little bit high on him, but I have Alshon Jeffrey at number 6 this week. He plays Philadelphia.
I think you copied my list because I have Jeffrey at 6 too.
Yeah, I mean, I really like his matchup this week. I think that Jay Cutler could also be another interesting streamer if he's out there. I don't really see Philadelphia's defense being anything too overwhelming for him. I think he'll have a fine week.
Yeah, I agree. I have him at number 6 as well, and I really don't have anything to add besides, he's also Jeffrey. He's going to get the volume no matter what.
Who do you have at number 7?
Number 7, DeAndre Hopkins.
So we basically have like the same list then.
Oh, pretty much. I think we do. I should probably just read off the next 10 and they'll all be the same. No, DeAndre Hopkins going against Kansas City. Even if he draws Marcus Peters, I really don't think this is a very intimidating matchup at all. I think that he's going to make the Kansas City defense look kind of silly.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of seen San Diego moving the ball a bit against Kansas City, and I think Houston has a good enough offense where they're going to definitely highlight Hopkins this week. I don't think that Fuller's going to quite do what he did last week. I think they're just trying out their new toy. So I'm looking for Hopkins to have a good week this week.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
All right, my number 8 is Brandon Cooks. He plays the Giants. I really like what I seen from him last week. I mean, he had a 98-yard touchdown. Obviously, that's not going to happen again, but I definitely can see a touchdown in his future.
Obviously, we do have the same list because I have Brandon Cooks at number 8 as well, for obvious reasons. I mean, he's Breeze's favorite toy against a very suspect secondary in the Giants team. So, that's all that really needs to be said. Number 9, who do you have?
I have Amari Cooper. He is playing Atlanta.
Okay, shut the fuck up. I have Amari Cooper as well.
Yeah. I have Amari Cooper. He is playing Atlanta. Obviously, he was playing very well last week. I think that streak's going to continue. Atlanta has a pretty shitty defense. He's going to make Trufant look like his bitch. Yeah,
I think that this is a game where I have Oakland winning this game, obviously. I do think that it'll be a contested game for the most part, but I do think that Amari Cooper and Derek Carr will have fine games.
Well, I think I'll end our streak here with number 10.
Okay,
at number 10, I have Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay, yeah, you definitely ended our streak.
I know what I think Fitzgerald still has it, man.
He definitely showed it.
Yeah, he looked really good last week, and obviously I don't think he's going to get 2 touchdowns, but he doesn't necessarily have a bad matchup against Tampa Bay. Like that's a pretty good matchup. He plays them at home. Like I think he's going to be a grade A play.
Yeah. My next on my list, I have Mike Evans at number 10.
Okay, that's fair. I could see why he'd be a top 10 guy.
Yeah, I do have Mike Evans as a top 10 guy. Like we all know, he's getting the Patrick Peterson treatment this week. We all know that, but he's Mike Evans. I'm high on him for personal reasons. I love Mike Evans. I like him this week.
All right. At number 11, I have. Well, this is pending. If he gets a normal workload, I have Jordy Nelson. If not, I do have him lower, and in his place, I have Kelvin Benjamin.
That's actually not surprising. I have him just a spot lower than you. I really don't think the San Francisco defense is as good as advertised against the shitty Rams offense. So, yeah, I think that Kelvin Benjamin's a fine play this week.
So you had Kelvin Benjamin at 12?
Yeah, I had Brandon Marshall at 11. I think that this is a good week for him, a good rebound week. He had a very quiet week 1 in this Buffalo defense. I mean, Rob Ryan's at the helm. He doesn't scare anybody. He's a shitty defensive coordinator, in my opinion, and this defense really isn't scaring me.
Yeah, I don't have Brandon Marshall too much lower. I have him at number 13. I have him just outside the wide receiver 1 area. I think that he'll be fine. He'll be a good play. Buffalo's defense isn't totally scary. I think that he'll be a fine play. You know who I have? You have Mike Evans at number 10. I have him down at number 13. Number 14. I don't see him finishing as a wide receiver 1 this week. I just don't.
That's not surprising. I mean, the matchup is there. That's definitely he's a guy that could be your Blue Falcon this week. So watch out for him.
Oh, he's not by any means my Blue Falcon. I don't think I did him for receivers because I was kind of rushed last night due to me wanting to be in bed. So, hey, some other guys I got here. There's a lot of good matchups down here on this list. Jordan Matthews, I have at number 16 going against Chicago. I have DT at number 17 going against Indianapolis. I have Des Bryant all the way down at number 18. Am I fucked up for saying that, or?
No, I mean, it comes with very good reasoning. Dak Prescott actually said the other day, or I think it was today actually, he said he's going to develop that connection with Dez, but that connection's not there yet, and it showed during his Week 1 performance. You know,
Well, he was a cut hair away from getting a touchdown.
He was, and that would have saved his fantasy day, but I don't know what we're looking at right now. It's way too early to tell, but yeah, I know your ranking him so low is definitely, warranted, I think.
I think it's well warranted.
Yeah, I only did my top 12 rankings, but I wouldn't have put him in there under no circumstances.
All right. Just a couple of more names that I'm going to name off I think have good matchups. I got Marvin Jones at number 23 at home against Tennessee.
Yeah,
I have Emmanuel Sanders at number 25 at home against Indianapolis. Crabtree, number 26. And I got Tajay Sharp at number 28.
Here, I have a guy that you haven't even mentioned yet, and I love this matchup because of, as referenced by Monday night, Doug Baldwin, Rams.
I got him back to pretty high. I got him at number. I think I have him at like 14 or 15 or something like that.
Yeah,
I got him in the wide receiver 2 territory.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was actually pretty happy to see what I seen out of him actually.
Yeah, I think so. It kind of hurt. I gave him a trade recently, and it did hurt because I do think that he is the unquestioned number 1 over there, and I think that he is going to produce a lot of value this year.
When you trade a player away, do you still hope that they do good?
Sometimes, but usually no. I hope that they do shitty because then I'm like, oh, I won that trade.
Well, no, I like for them to do good in every game that they don't play me.
Yeah,
but if they play me, I hope they play like shit.
Yeah, that's a good strategy. I can agree with that.
Just because like it's like, I mean, I drafted him, but now I'm trading him away. I still hope he does good because I mean I think he was a good pick. But I mean, obviously I didn't draft Doug Baldwin on any of my teams, but kind of wish I did now.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it looks like he could be a wide receiver too for the rest of the year.
Oh yeah. I think that he would have been a fine choice. I really kind of regret trading him now, but like I said, what's done is done, and that's that.
I know we already touched up on running backs, but I actually had another question that was asked about running backs.
Okay.
Do you feel like it's okay to start Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard this week?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think that I would not. This kind of.
I don't think I would ever.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever. I was going to say the Steelers' secondary is very suspect, but their front seven is pretty solid.
They got a pretty good line.
You kind of week to week have to predict who's going to have the better game, and for some reason this week, you might call me crazy for this one. I feel like this is a Jeremy Hill week. He plays well against the Steelers for some reason, and I see Cincinnati getting to a lot of red zone plays where he's going to get a chance to run it in and get that touchdown. So I have a gut feeling that this week's the Jeremy Hill week.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like for Gio to have a bounce back. He usually doesn't get that little touches, but I do agree. I think that Hill does get a touchdown this week.
Well, we can agree on that then. Are you ready to move over to tight ends, or do you still have some receivers you want to go over?
No, we can go on to tight ends. I only did my top 12, and then I had one guy that could be a streamer.
Yeah, I did the same. Well, actually, I do have one streamer, and then, yes, I did do my top 12.
Well, why don't we just do our streamers first? Mine's Virgil Green.
That is an excellent one because he's mine as well, Virgil Green.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think Indianapolis gave up a touchdown to Ebron. There's a very high chance that he could score a touchdown as well, you know?
Oh, yeah, well, and, he would have scored one against Carolina if the pass didn't get bad, if he was wide open in the end zone. I think that Trevor Siemian in red zone areas, he's going to lean heavily on Virgil Green because I think that he's going to get wide open on a lot of plays. And I think that he is very touchdown-dependent tight end play because he wasn't targeted a whole lot in Week 1. But I do think that most weeks he will, get a touchdown here or there. So you have to have him in your lineup for that reason, I think. Or at least
I think this is a week where he does score, too.
I agree. Yeah, this is a very, very weak defense. I like it.
All right. Who do you have as your number one tight end this week?
Well, with Gronk injured, doesn't really come as a surprise. Jordan Reed. He's playing Dallas. They don't scare me at all. And plus, he's not going up against Orlando Scandrick or any of their corners. He's pretty much going up against linebackers, and Dallas' linebackers really don't scare me. So I say Jordan Reed, easy number one.
I have Greg Olsen at number one again.
That's not surprising. I know you're really high on Greg Olsen. I have him at number 2.
I mean, he does play San Francisco. I don't know how much they're actually going to need to throw in that game, but I definitely like him in this matchup. And the only reason why I have him at number 1 is because as aforementioned, Gronk is injured. I do think that I have Gronk at number 2 if he is to play this week. But I got Olsen at number 1 though. Who do you have at number 2?
I had Greg Olsen at number 2. I would have had Gronk at number 2, but the injury concern had him drop down to 3 for me. It is a nice matchup against Miami, but his health is a concern. So that's the reason that I put the guys that I knew for sure were going to play ahead of him.
It's kind of interesting to note a lot of the AFC East teams defend the tight end pretty well.
Yeah, that is a very interesting stat because now that I think about that, I you are right.
All right, my number 3 is my tight end start of the week, Delanie Walker playing against Detroit. Detroit gave up 3 touchdowns to the tight end last week. That's why I have him so high this week. I have him at number 3.
That is some very, very logical reasoning. I have him lower than you, but very logical reasoning.
Well, I think the reason why we might be a little bit different is because I got Jordan Reed at number 4.
Okay, that would, okay.
And it's purely just based on Walker's matchup, why I have him over Jordan Reed. Detroit does not defend the tight end very well. They didn't defend it very well last year. They didn't defend it very well last week. That's kind of where I stand with Delanie Walker over Jordan Reed.
That's very fair. My number 4 is welcome back, Gary Barnidge. It was a nice time away with RG3 at the helm, but I think Josh McCown is going to give him new life. He's a good bet for me to score a touchdown against a Ravens defense that is suspect. So that's really all I got to say about that.
Well, I mean, I do see Barnidge having a big bounce back week. I don't have him at number 4, but I do have him at number 7. I do think that he is going to be a very solid starter this week. As we know, McCown does like to lean on him, and Coleman really didn't look that good, to be honest. Aside from that long bomb, he really didn't do much.
Yeah, and that's gotta scare you if you're a Coleman owner like myself. With McCown, he's really not a deep thrower. He likes those short intermediate passes. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
All right, my number 5 is Travis Kelce.
I actually have him at the exact same position.
Oh, I thought you had Barnidge, or you have Barnidge at 4. Okay.
I had Barnidge at 4,
yeah. I got Travis Kelce at number 5. I thought about putting him over Gronk, but I decided no. I think he'll be a little bit less than him if he does play because, like I said, he didn't really have a very high potent offense, but he is, I think, the 1-2 punch with Macklin.
Yeah, absolutely. He's. I think that him and Macklin are the two. They're the ones fighting for targets in that offense, and the scraps are going to other people. But yeah, he's a good bet for me to score a touchdown this weekend. Houston, great defense. Can't say more than that about them, but they weren't extremely great at defending against the tight end position, which is why I have Kelce ranked so high.
Who do you have at number 6?
Number 6. Delanie Walker, like I said, you bring up very good reasoning, but I didn't take that into account. I did this strictly before I even thought about last week getting 3 tight ends scored against them on that Detroit defense, but yeah, Delanie Walker, he had a great year last year, and he had a very quiet week one. I see him bouncing back in a big way this week.
Most definitely. My number 6 is Julius Thomas. I hope that I'm not completely off base here, but I didn't really like a lot of the tight ends behind him, so I have him at number 6.
I have him at number 7, actually, so it's a good thing you brought him up. San Diego defense, need I say more?
All right, so obviously I have Barnett at number 7. Who do you have at number 7?
7 was Julius Thomas. So my number 8 is, if you can somehow learn the playbook by then, Coby Fleener. You can't argue with the matchup against New York Giants, but will he know the playbook by then? Who knows?
Yeah, I am much lower on Fleener than you. I have at number 8, I have Jason Witten. I think that he's going to be that security blanket for that young man.
I agree. I have him at number 10, but directly before him, I have Eric Ebron. I like him against this Tennessee defense, and I really don't have much reasoning else beyond that, but he looks good week 1, and I think that he is going to take a big step forward this year.
Yeah, I have Ebron at number 9. I do think that he's a fine start this week. He's a little bit more on the back end. I would kind of want to see the volume get there for him, but definitely primed for a touchdown.
Absolutely. And then, yes, as I already stated, then I have Jason Witten at number 10.
And my number 10 is Antonio Gates, just based on the fact that I really don't like a whole lot of tight ends this week, to be honest.
Yeah, he's on number 11.
Then again, I'm not really a big tight end guy either, so.
Yeah, I'm not either. But, yeah, no, I can see that. I have him ranked at number 11.
All right. Then my number 11 and number 12, I have Dwayne Allen and Coby Fleener. I mean, I really didn't feel comfortable even putting Fleener at number 12. He looked like he was not even involved at all in the offense, so it's kind of worrisome for me.
Yeah, it definitely is. But, again, the matchup is why I ranked him so high, and I'm going to write week 1 off, but if it keeps going in week 2, I'm going to seriously drop him very far. So, obviously, high-volume passing offense. I think that he has oozes of potential with Drew Brees, but it's a point that we brought up millions of times already. Sometimes there are just bad football players, and I think that Coby Fleener is just bad at football. But I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt this week, and we'll see.
All right. So I'm not going to get any further into depth with the tight ends. I do have some defensive streaming options available this week, if you want to touch on that a little bit.
I actually do. I do have a couple of good streamers.
Yeah. My number 1 defensive stream of the week is Baltimore going against Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with that logic. They're owned in probably less than 5% of leagues too, so. Yeah.
Easily available.
Yeah, one of mine that you may or may not find available, I was actually able to pick them up in one of my leagues this week, is the Oakland Raiders defense going up against Atlanta. I think that I wouldn't say they're a top option for streaming this week, but you could do definitely worse. I like Oakland. They did spend a lot of money in the offseason upgrading their defense, especially the secondary. So I can't really say more than that. But, I like them this week. And going forward, I think that they're an improved unit. And I think that week 1, they were playing Drew Brees and the Saints. Obviously, you're not going to start them against them.
I don't know how I feel about them this week against Atlanta, so I don't have them down as one of my streamers, but I think the defense that I like a little bit more that could be available on a lot of leagues is the New York Jets defense. They are on the road against Buffalo. Their offense looked like complete shit. It looked like they had no passing game to speak of, and I think that trend's going to continue this week.
Can't argue with that logic again. Another one that we've already brought up was I like the Lions. The Lions have a nice streaming option this week. I already really touched up on it.
I was just talking to somebody about that, actually. Before this show.
Yeah, so, and then, also another one, too, to think about is Philadelphia.
I was just about to bring Philadelphia's defense into the conversation. They are my 3rd stream. They're on the road against Chicago. I think that they could lure Jay Cutler into some interceptions. Is not out of the realm. He's suspect.
definitely suspect for sure.
Do you have any other notes or any other injury updates or any shout-outs before we go?
Hi, Mom. I love you. No, I'm just kidding. That was a shot
It's the
from
third
last
time in a
week.
row this has happened.
Yeah, I think we're getting onto something with the shout-outs to Mom. No, that's pretty much it. We love helping you guys win. Please rate us on iTunes. I would love that. And I can't wait till Sunday. I think it's just my national holiday, like every weekend during football season. So, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think this weekend is going to call for a nice tall glass of Jack and a cigar.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I had a cigar last weekend. I think I'm going to have another one this weekend.
I no way, shape, or form say that smoking any kind of tobacco is good, but hey, man, you only live once.
YOLO.
All right, so I think that will do it for today's show. Keep at it, my fifth down syndrome babies. We will be back at it again on Saturday for our Week 2 matchups. So tune in for that one. We're trying to give you that extra down advantage. Please follow us on Twitter at the Fifth Down FF. Subscribe and review us on iTunes, please. We are totally adamant about keeping that going. So that'll do it. Peace out, Fifth Downers.
Yeah.